Welcome to the Madison Motor Podcast. This won't be your regular show today, but um, I have a list of things that I want to talk about. Regular shows will resume next week because yours truly was on vacation. Um, so the first thing I want to talk about is my latest NFL mock draft. I will probably drop a final one tomorrow and then put it on the podcast. So um, I'm gonna do my second mock, and it'll do my final one tomorrow. One, the Las Vegas Raiders, Fernando Mendoza, quarterback, Indiana. This makes sense. They need a franchise quarterback. This is the worst kept secret. They're taking Mendoza. To the New York Jets, David Bailey, edge, Texas Tech. A lot of people think it's going to be Bailey over Arvell Reese. I mean, I prefer Reese over Bailey. Um, Bailey's sack machine. I guess they kind of are liking some of the traits with Bailey. Number 3, the Arizona Cardinals, Jeremiah Love, running back, Notre Dame. This is a classic. When there's smoke, there's fire. I don't know if this is actually going to happen or not, but I do think that it's certainly in play. But I don't love the fit, though, because that's a rebuilding team. You don't take a running back at 3 when you're rebuilding. But this could be a trade up for somebody like the Kansas City Chiefs, who are desperate to win another Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. So this doesn't necessarily have to be the Cardinals at 3 picking Jeremiah Love. This could be another team picking Jeremiah Love at 3. It's just wrong team. It was like when the Giants took Saquon Barkley at 2 in 2018, and they were a bad team with an aging quarterback. But then again, somebody say the Chiefs are a bad team with an aging. Not that Mahomes is aging; he's better than Eli Manning was at this point. But the Chiefs are a better team than the Giants were then, so that's the difference there. Number 4, the Tennessee Titans, Sonny Styles, linebacker, Ohio State. Seems like it's going to be Styles here because of this Arizona Jeremiah Love smoke that's going on, and Jeremiah Love makes sense for Tennessee. I mean, Tony Pollard's not bad, but I mean, if they pick Love here, is Pollard trade bait? Maybe. Maybe he's a Seattle Seahawk replacing Kenneth Walker kind of thing. And they trade a later pick for him. But Sonny Styles, people look at him as like a Fred Warner type of player, and obviously Saleh had Warner in San Francisco, so that's why people are making this as like a thing. Number 5, the New York Football Giants. I have them taking Arvell Reese, the edge out of Ohio State. If Reese falls to 5, they got to take him. And then you explore Kayvon Thibodeau trades, or someone you take advantage of a desperate team to trade up for him, like the Cowboys or something like that, and then you trade back to 12 and you get somebody good at 12 that can follow you, and then you get more assets from Dallas, who's desperate to win with Dak Prescott. So the Giants have options at 5. I think Arvell Reese is the right pick, but also Kayvon Thibodeau, that puts him back on the trade block. And I don't know if they're going to get what they want in return for him. So, like, but then again, the number 5 pick in the draft is arguably more valuable than Kayvon Thibodeau from a trade standpoint. So, it's interesting. Interesting spot if Reese falls. 6, the Cleveland Browns. Francis Mayoga, the offensive tackle out of Miami. The Browns have needs everywhere. Arguably even at quarterback. I mean, because Gabriel and Sanders, to me, are not long-term answers at quarterback for them. Mayoga has injury stuff going on. That's concerning. But they also have a need on the offensive line with some of those veterans they had, either aging or not on the team anymore. Okay. All right, 7, the Washington Commanders. Carnell Tate, wide receiver, Ohio State. Tate's been a hot commodity for this spot, although I do think Commanders should go D. Tate does make sense because Deebo Samuel, injury-prone player. Terry McLaurin, a good WR1, but how long will he be around for? So, like, for Jaden Daniels, Tate and him, I think, together would be fantastic. 8, the New Orleans Saints. Caleb Downs, safety, Ohio State. The Saints could just pick whoever they want here. I mean, they're going to get a good player here regardless. But I think Downs would be really good. Helps their secondary. 9, the Kansas City Chiefs. Ruben Bain Jr., edge, Miami. The Chiefs are under pressure in this draft. Obviously, as I mentioned, I think they should try to trade up for one of those premier guys. They're kind of like the Cowboys. Like, they're under pressure to get one of those elite blue chipper guys. But Bain Jr. isn't a bad choice either, in my opinion. He does have short hands. He has some injury problems. And he and Chris Jones on the same pass rush would do wonders. Number 10, the New York Giants from the Cincinnati Bengals. Jordan Tyson, wide receiver, Arizona State. I don't think that they should take one of the wide receivers with their first 2 picks. I mean, Carnell Tate at 10 might be a different story. But Jordan Tyson's an injury-prone player. He's a great player, don't get me wrong, but they don't need another stud wide receiver with Malik Neighbors. I mean, I think they should go defense with both picks, or defense 1 and maybe take a tackle at 10 or trade out of 10 and get a tackle at a lower spot. But, I mean, doesn't hurt the development of Jackson Dart, that's for sure. Number 11, the Miami Dolphins. Spencer Fano, offensive tackle, Utah. I like Fano. I think with the new regime in Miami, they just want to take best player available and guys that have good track records of staying healthy and consistent. Fano, like I said, makes a lot of sense. He could play anywhere on the line. Number 12, the Dallas Cowboys. Mansour Delane, cornerback, LSU. I think the Cowboys are going to be desperate to try to trade up tomorrow night, as will the Chiefs, for the same reasons. I do think Delane here at 12 makes sense for Dallas or whoever's picking in the spot. Cowboys do have a need in the secondary with Diggs no longer there. 13, the Los Angeles Rams from the Atlanta Falcons. Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver, USC. The Rams are a possible trade up for like Tate or Jordan Tyson. I mean, they're talking about that because everyone's concerned about Puka and his personal situation. But if they stay at 13, the 2 other wide receivers off the board, Lemon does make sense. He's a USC kid. The fans know him. And then, say if Puka's healthy, it's Puka, Devontae Adams, and Mekhi Lemon. That's a scary offense. Maybe that's like a pick that would make the Rams, or if they get one of those top 2 receivers, the team to beat in the NFC. 14, the Baltimore Ravens. Alaveva Ione, interior offensive line, Penn State. Let me pronounce that name again. Alevega. Let's just call him Ale. Ale Ione. This makes sense. No more Tyler Linderbaum for the Ravens, who went to the Raiders. And it would help keep Lamar Jackson upright. 15, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Akeem Mesidor, edge, Miami. Bucs obviously have a need at pass rush. Mesidor seems to be the hot name there right now. Good technique guy, plays all the downs. Number 16, the New York Jets from the Indianapolis Colts. Omar Cooper Jr., wide receiver, Indiana. Jets can really go anywhere at this pick. I mean, I don't think they're going to surprise us and take a quarterback here. That'd be weird. Maybe they take a defensive player here. I think Cooper fit well with Garrett Wilson in that offense for Geno Smith. 17, the Detroit Lions. Caden Proctor, offensive tackle, Alabama. I think this is a logical choice for the Lions. They need to replace Taylor Decker. Big guy. Could start at either tackle or guard. 18, the Minnesota Vikings. Dylan Thyman, safety, Oregon. Another pick that could replace a old player. Kyle Harrison, obviously, he's getting older. So Thyman here does make sense for Minnesota. 19, the Carolina Panthers. Kenyon Sadiq, tight end, Oregon. This is probably my favorite fit pick in the draft. I think that Sadiq would be a nice weapon to go with Bryce Young in that offense. 20, the Dallas Cowboys from the Green Bay Packers. Keldrick Falk, edge, Auburn. Cowboys get the edge rusher here in this mock after taking the corner in the first round. I mean, could they get up to 3 and take Reese? I mean, Arizona, I think, should look into that because the Cardinals are not Arvell Reese away from making a Super Bowl run. I think the Cowboys are like an Arvell Reese player away from being a possible contender. But Falk, not a bad player. Polarizing though. 21, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Monroe Freeling, offensive tackle, Georgia. Freeling, it's funny. The Steelers, I feel like always take the Georgia tackle. Makes sense here with Broderick Jones' injury. Could miss the season, so that's the word on the street. Pittsburgh, Freeling does make sense there. I mean, there's talks about Ty Simpson, but I doubt it. 22, the Los Angeles Chargers. Jermod McCoy, cornerback, Tennessee. Chargers are a team that can win its division. Whether they nail the pick or not, it'd be certainly nice if they did. I think that could really counterpult them. McCoy was supposed to go higher, but he tore his ACL. So that's why he's going to end up in the 20s or even out of the first round, possibly. 23, to Philadelphia Eagles. Blake Miller, offensive tackle, Clemson. Lane Johnson's getting old, so I think they need to start thinking about life after Lane Johnson. Blake Miller does make sense. Played right tackle in school. 24, the Cleveland Browns from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Denzel Boston, wide receiver, Washington. I think this is be a good spot for them to take a receiver, whether it's Boston or Casey Concepcion, who I like better. But the hot word seems to be Boston right now. He has good ball skills, but doesn't have the speed. 25, the Chicago Bears. TJ Parker, edge, Clemson. The Bears could use an edge rusher to go with Montez Sweat. Their defense was not good last year, obviously. Parker did not have a good year last year, but had a good Senior Bowl. 26, the Buffalo Bills. Peter Woods, defensive lineman, Clemson. Woods, like Parker, wasn't very good last year. Freak athlete, versatile player. Need pick for the Bills, although they could be a trade down team. 27, the San Francisco 49ers. Caleb Lomo, offensive tackle, Utah. Yes, Trent Williams is signed, but he's 38. Lomu, versatile player. He could start at guard, and once Williams is gone, then he can move to tackle. 28, the Houston Texans. Chase Bisantis, guard, Texas A&M. The Texans' offensive line is still a mess. Bisantis, fast riser. Could be a plug-and-play guy in Houston. 29, the Kansas City Chiefs from the Los Angeles Rams. Avion Terrell, Clemson, the cornerback. With their second first-rounder that they got from the Rams in the McDuffie deal, they get Terrell. Terrell could fall out of the first round with the injury concerns. He's talented, though. And would be a good little plug-and-play guy for KC. Number 30, the Miami Dolphins from the Denver Broncos. Colton Hood, cornerback, Tennessee. Obviously, they're in best player available mode. He's tough. Talking about Hood. Good ball skills. Obviously, have a need in that position. 31, the New England Patriots. Max Ihansakor, interior offensive line at Arizona State. Obviously, the Pats can use some help on the offensive line. I think that unit was exposed in the Super Bowl. Ihansakor, good fit. He's not polished, but he has a high ceiling. And 32, the Seattle Seahawks, Jadarian Price, running back, Notre Dame. I think the Seahawks should take trade back and then take Price in the second round. Like, you let somebody come up and maybe they could take Ty Simpson or like Arizona, or um, maybe the Jets come up and take Ty Simpson. Not that the Jets would, but I'm just thinking of teams that need quarterbacks. Miami. That'd be weird. Miami taking another Alabama quarterback. But they do, the Seahawks meaning, they do need to replace Kenneth Walker somehow. So Price does make sense. But like I said, that maybe it's a trade back scenario for Seattle. So there's my latest mock draft. All right, NBA playoffs. As we're recording, Detroit's about to even up their series with Orlando at 1 apiece. There's a lot of 1-1 series. I like how competitive these playoffs are. Some of these upsets. And there's some surprises for sure. So I'm going to copy Bill Simmons a little bit. And he did a panic rankings on his show. I'm going to do some sort of version of that, like panic concern rankings. I think the Rockets need to be the most concerned. They're down 0-2. You didn't have Kevin Durant in the first game. Kevin Durant comes back second game, not healthy. And the Lakers are, on the flip side, they're up 2-0 without Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. I think Ime Udoka is the coach on the hottest seat right now. With how it's going right now, down 0-2. And a lot of this is like front office malpractice and problems too. Like, they probably should have went out and traded for somebody at the trade deadline. Like, CJ McCollum could have been had. And Atlanta could have went the other way and tanked. Or obviously they wouldn't be playing the Knicks. They would have been in the play-in had they not gotten CJ McCollum. But like, that's someone that could have helped the Rockets. So they're my number one. Number two, I'd say the Spurs, only because Wemby's concussed, and I think that team's in trouble. They are in big trouble without Victor Wembanyama. And I think that Portland is live in the series now with home court advantage and no Wemby for the Spurs. And none of those guys have had big game experience on the Spurs. So I think the Spurs are in trouble. I mean, if they win one in Portland, I would be less concerned. I mean, realistically, they're not going to have Wemby for the 2 games in Portland. I expect him to be back for Game 5 in San Antonio. My number 3 team on the concern list is the Detroit Pistons. I know they just won today, but it was a blowout. But I just don't trust them in close games, and they, to me, don't have that de facto number 2 option with Cade Cunningham, like how the Knicks do with Karl-Anthony Towns and like Denver does with Jamal Murray. And I know Orlando, I just watched the game a little bit. They were shooting bricks all night. And I mean, Orlando has home court now. And there's pressure on I know the Pistons feel good win blowout. There's pressure on them to at least win 1 game in Orlando. Now, I'm not asking them to win both, just win 1 there. And the same goes for my next team on my most concerning list, number 4. This is where Bill and I differ. Bill said the Denver Nuggets for his number 4. My number 4 is the New York Knicks. That was a catastrophic collapse against the Hawks. CJ McCollum is not prime Damian Lillard. He's not Bronson. He's not Tyrese Maxey, for crying out loud. But he's just on a heater. But maybe it'll be a little fluky and the Knicks split in Atlanta and find the way to win in 6 like I predicted. But that collapse was just so bad, and Mike Brown's rightfully getting blamed. But like, the players also deserve blame, because this is the same group that collapsed against Indiana last year in Game 1 when Tyrese hit the crazy shot. And this is the same group, or somewhat of the same group, that collapsed 2 years ago. Or not collapsed, but they should have closed out Philly in Game 5 last year. But they but Philly came back and beat them in OT, and then they ended up winning in 6. And then the Pistons game last year too in the playoffs. Um, but now I feel like the fans get nervous whenever there's a team coming back on them because of that Halliburton shot, and now the CJ run. But yeah, this is more of like a long-term issue with the Knicks to me, and if they lose early or if they don't make it to the conference finals, this core's blowing up. Like Towns won't be on the team next year. Who knows if Mike Brown? They're already talking about Mike Brown getting fired if they lose this series, which is possible. Even in fact, the Shams brought that up, tells me that it's possible, and then that means James Dillon and Leon Rose admitting defeat on firing Tom Thibodeau. Not that he shouldn't have been fired. I think that he's a limited coach, but they just hired the wrong guy. That's the problem. They probably hired the wrong guy. And guess what? I don't think Billy Donovan's the answer either because he was a bad coach in Chicago. He was okay in Oklahoma City, but he didn't bring Kevin Durant and them to where they needed to be. I mean, the guy they probably should have hired was Mike Malone, who's now with Carolina in college basketball. But the Billy Donovan thing's a different story. That I think that Carolina Billy Donovan would have made more sense. But then again, there's the Todd Golden rumors about him coaching the Warriors and Steve Kerr stepping down, and that would be an interesting possible Mike Brown replacement. Or he could be the coach of the Magic, Steve Kerr, but they're talking about Billy Donovan being the coach of the Magic. But the coaching thing's a whole different story. But bottom line is, this current iteration of the Knicks has had a history of blowing home playoff games, like they did 2 nights ago, and like they did against Philly in Game 5, although they won that series. Same with the Detroit game. It's a Game 2 or Game 5 where they blew it home, or they should have won at home, and there was an issue with the timeout. And then the Indiana game with the fluke Halliburton shot that shouldn't have went in. So, yeah, they're 4. And number 5 for me is the Nuggets. I understand why Bill had the Nuggets ahead of the Knicks on the concern list, but that was only because of Aaron Gordon being hurt. But Denver's a better team than the Knicks. They're a better team. Jokic is a better player than Brunson. And you can just go on and on and on about the reasons Denver should be among the teams that can win an NBA title. But they're 1-1 because their opponent, Minnesota, has a superstar in Anthony Edwards, and they've had success against Denver in the past. And like I said, Minnesota's an overqualified 16, and so are the Hawks. So are the Hawks. But yeah. I do think Denver are in trouble, yes, but I do think that they'll probably win one in Minnesota, although that's a tough place to play, and their crowd's going to be ruckus. And then the Celtics are an honorable mention at 6. I just think that was a fluke playoff loss. I know people are concerned, like, oh, they look like the same team that blew those 2 games against the Knicks last year, and yada yada. But where's Joel Embiid? Oh yeah, he ain't playing. So I'm not that concerned about the Celtics. They're gonna win in 5, I think. But if that series goes 6-7, then color me somewhat concerned, especially if Embiid's not back. And I know I'm not trying to take away anything that VJ Edgecombe has done. He was fantastic. He got hot, and credit to him. And Maxi's great, but I just don't see the Sixers being competitive and making this a long series against Boston without Joel Embiid. That's all. Yeah, so there's your NBA concern list. The Raptors just fucking suck. I've been saying that forever. I think the Magic tanked that Boston game at the end of the year to avoid the Celtics and to possibly play the to get the road game in the play-in and to avoid Boston, and then just kicked Charlotte's ass, and we all know why Orlando um, or discuss the reasons why Orlando um pretty much tossed that Boston game the last day of the year. But that really has implications on other teams. Like that's why the Knicks are playing the Hawks, and that's why the Sixers are playing the Celtics, and you just go on and on. But like I said, the Raptors stink. They are the worst team in the playoffs, and they're probably the worst 5 seed I've seen ever. Um. All right, so and then Cleveland, they're just a lucky ass team, and Detroit doesn't seem as um good as we good as perceived either. So the James Harden problem we probably won't see until the next round. Um, Other series is the Thunder are gonna sweep Phoenix. Phoenix, I never was sold on them all season. Um, I do like Booker, but the Thunder are just so much better than the Suns, and I think that there's a chance they win every game in the series by double digits. And I'm trying to think of any other. Oh, Houston Lakers. That's the other one. We talked about a little bit about that. Yeah, because there are 6 teams I want to talk about who were either 1-1 or 0-2 in their series that were favored to win their series. And then there's the other, the what I'm gonna call that 4-5 between Cleveland and um Toronto feels like a 1-8 to me. It just does. All right. And then the Stanley Cup playoffs. Looks like that the Flyers, did they win yet? They're going to beat Pittsburgh. To go up 3-0. Stars are up 1-0 on the Wild in Game 3. Ducks Oilers Game 2's tonight. So the Avs are up 2-0 on the Kings. Game 3 is tomorrow. Game 3 Stars Wild. That's a 1-1 series. Golden Knights Mammoth. The Mammoth won last night. That Game 3 is Friday night. And then we talked about Oilers Ducks. Oilers up 1-0 on the Ducks. Oilers should go up 2-0. Sabres Bruins is 1-1. That Game 3 is tomorrow night. I think that the Bruins win that series. I predicted that before the playoffs. Lightning Habs is 1-1. Game 3 is Friday night. I don't remember. Did I pick Lightning in 5 or 6? I think I had it in 5. And then the Flyers just got an empty netter. It's 5-2 Flyers. They're about to go up 3-0, which is crazy. The Penguins, quite frankly, really probably weren't even that good. I mean, my overall takeaway of that is that Carolina is the really only good team in the Metro Division. I mean, the Flyers might be good, but like they're gonna get exposed in the next round against Carolina, assuming it's them. Um, and yeah, that would be Carolina. And why is Ottawa favored in Game 3 tomorrow night against Carolina? That makes no sense to me. But yeah, Carolina's going to expose the Flyers, assuming it's them advancing past Pittsburgh. The real reason why the Metro Division, in my opinion, was overrated this year is because the Rangers stunk and the Devils stunk, and they were supposed to be the other 2 good teams in that division. And the Capitals weren't good, and you could just point at the teams that disappointed. Oh, and the Islanders, I thought overachieved this season, but they still fired their coach because they're a dysfunctional organization. But oh, it looks like they took away that goal for the Flyers. That's weird. But yeah, the Metro Division just has one good team in it, and everybody else is crap, and they can thank the Rangers and the Devils, and they're underachieving. I mean, I know injuries played a factor with the Rangers, but they were too top heavy and not deep enough. And I probably should have knew that before the year because I think I had them as the last wild card in the East. But a lot of people had them second or third in the division this year, and I thought that was too high. But yeah, Metro Division overrated is my biggest hockey takeaway, especially with Pittsburgh. After many people picked Pittsburgh to um before the playoffs to go on a run because Crosby, Lester, and all that, but no, they suck. And I think the team to beat in the East is the Lightning because of their past postseason experience. Um, and the Stars look like they have a goal on the Wild, so they're up 1-0 in the first period. So hockey's gonna be fun. Um, we'll see how these series shake out. Um, and then Survivor. Um, obviously tonight. Fun episode. Before the challenge, everybody was talking about who they should vote out. Um, there's talks about Devins. There's talks about Ozzy because he has an idol and whatnot. And then Christian was a name people were throwing out there. With him being people were perceiving, oh, he's in the middle, but really he was in a little clique with Emily and Devins. And then the challenge was fun because Jeff participated in the challenge with them, and a part of the fun was that in the hands of the fans. So Jeff participated in a challenge, and the challenge was that they had to pull a bucket of water which had 25% of your pre-survivor weight in it, and you had to pull it. And Jeff said if 5 people were willing to make a side bet with him, then they earn rice. And 4 people volunteered, but Jeff had to settle for 4. And the 4 people that volunteered were Joe, Tiffany, Stephanie, and Jonathan. And it's funny because all 4 of those people outlasted Jeff, so everybody earned rice. And the winner of individual immunity was Joe, who almost won the challenge on his season 2 seasons ago, last calendar year, and he lost to David. We were reminded of that in the show tonight. So Joe wins individual immunity over Ozzy. So second week in a row where Joe's wearing the necklace. I think Joe's been the best player so far on the show. I think he's gonna win, and he was my preseason pick too, which looking good with down to 10. So it's gonna be fun. And then obviously Joe has the necklace. They're talking about who to vote out, and a part of Joe's win, he had to pick one person to go on a journey, and there are 4 people that did a rock paper scissors, and whoever was the winner wanted to go on the journey. And Christian won the little rock paper scissors battle. He gets to go on the journey, and then he had to put together a Survivor 50 Hands in the Fans puzzle within a certain period of time. And then he drops the wrench. And then once the wires went down, the puzzle pulled away into the water, and he didn't finish it on time. And had he won the challenge, it was the Jimmy Fallon challenge. He was able to cast a secret vote in tribal council on who to vote off. But it turns out if he lost, he had to write his own name down at tribal council. That's the beauty of Survivor 50. So he doesn't win the challenge, and then Christian had to wait until he was in front of his tribe mates to read the envelope of his punishment for losing. And they were all like, oh my God. So they took advantage and of that opportunity and got out Christian. And they go to tribal. There are some votes on Devin, some votes on Ozzy, including one from Christian. Although, I'm sorry, Christian had voted for himself. I think Emily voted for Ozzy. Devin's voted for Ozzy. Jonathan wrote down Devin's. Some people in Jonathan's little friend or Jonathan's little alliance wrote down Devin's name, but Joe is not like the clicky person. He goes with the program. He went with the program this week and voted out or wrote down Christian's name. So even if Christian, I mean, that extra vote could have swung in if he had the mystery extra vote and wrote down, say, Ozzy's name. I mean, it would have been an extra vote for Ozzy. And then I still think Christian would have gotten voted off. So Christian goes home. And now they're down to 10. It's down to Emily, Stephanie, Aubrey, Tiffany, Joe, Devins, Jonathan, Ozzy, Rizzo, and they're missing somebody else. I'll think of it. Emily, Aubrey, Tiff, Steph, Joe, Jonathan, Rizzo, Ozzy, Devins. And I'm missing, I don't even remember who I'm missing. I'll think of it. But yeah, that we're down to 10. So my guess as of now, I'm going to say the Survivor finale will be June 3rd. I think it's going into June. That's going to be the absolute latest. But, I mean, it could be May 20th and then, like, multiple people are voted out. But, yeah, it looks like it's going to be June 3rd. So fun season, of course. And then the preview for next week, is the Mr. Beat episode. That was a part of the season preview. That Mr. Beat made the show, which is pretty neat. Oh, I know who I was missing of the 10. Sari. There you go. So it's 5 girls and 5 guys. So I like it. It's even. And I think the front runner to win Soul Survivor 50 is, of course, Mr. Joe Hunter, who has won back-to-back immunities, has gone with the program most of the votes, with the exception of the vote that they voted out D. He wrote down Tiffany's name because I think Coach was telling some people to write down Tiffany's name in case D had an idol or something. So I do think Joe's the front runner right now. And I do think that he's in a good spot and has gained a lot of respect from his tribe mates. So anything else that I wanted to touch on before I go? I guess we're okay. We're approaching 40 minutes. Baseball, Mets ended their losing streak at 12. They finally won a game. They beat the Twins. Everyone's calling them dead because they lost 12 straight. But it's still April. I mean, I'm not writing the Mets off yet. I know everybody is, and everyone's putting Freddie Peralta and some veterans and trade rumors. But no, I don't think so. Not yet. Yankees beat the Red Sox 4-1. That's how they win that series at Fenway against the Red Sox team that is probably a little overrated. And Doug Saravo was probably right about Boston, because I said that when he came on and did his picks, I said why no Red Sox. So and he thought they were overrated. So standings right now, AL East Yankees are 2 games ahead of the Rays, plus 35 run differential. The Yankees have been probably the best team in the American League so far. Although the Angels have scored the most runs in the American, or no, Houston scored the most runs, but they've given up 150 runs. But the Yankees, I think, have been the best team so far in the AL. They've won 5 straight, including tonight. Very quietly, 15-9. I think it's a good thing that nobody's giving them attention. I think everyone's just focused on the Knicks and them losing that Hawks game, and whether Mike Brown's a good coach or not, or who are the Giants taking at 5-10, who are the Jets taking at 2-16, and the Mets 12-game losing streak, and then on Cinco de Mayo is the NHL draft lottery. Maybe the Rangers get the top pick. That's less attention on the Yankees too. So carry on. New York Yankees 15-9, and nobody's talking about it, and they're exactly where they want to be, where nobody's paying attention to them. Probably not until July, quite frankly. AL Central, I think Detroit's the best team in this division so far. I mean, Minnesota's been an overachiever. They're 500, plus 13 run differential. But I don't think it's going to last. Cleveland's in first right now, but they're a -6. So that division's bunched up. Chicago still stinks, and the Royals have been an underachiever. AL West, I think the American League is so bunched together. It's just like the Yankees, I think, have separated themselves a little bit from everybody else very early in the season. Texas is in first right now, tied with Oakland. The Athletics, not a major surprise, but they're tied for first, -15 run differential though, so I don't trust that. Texas is really good. Their pitching's good. Their offense hasn't approached 100 runs yet, which is a problem. They've only scored 4 more runs than the White Sox. Houston's in last, but they're only 3.5 back at first, -13 run differential. And then the National League, so we have a new team in this division that's on a long losing streak, and that's the Philadelphia Phillies, who have lost 8 straight and are now 8-16 on the year, and have the same record as the Mets. And and that's why I didn't call the Mets done. No one's saying that about the Phillies. But I don't think the Phillies losing streak's gonna get 12, but you never know. I picked them to win the division before the year, but the only difference between the two teams, I mean, the narrative about the Phillies before the season is that they're old and slow and not athletic. And the Mets were favored to win their division because they traded for Freddie Peralta and Luis Robert Jr. and Juan Soto is on their team. But the best team in this division right now is the Atlanta Braves, 17-8. I almost picked them to win the division. I had them in second. I had them as a wild card. Plus 57 run differential. They're the best team in that division. And the Marlins are only 1 game under 500, plus 2 run differential. And the Nats are 11-14, which is a semi-surprise. The NL Central so far is the best division. Everybody's over 500. Including the Cardinals, who I think are the worst team in this division, -11 run differential. They're 14-10, which is good for them. Best team in this division is the Chicago Cubs. They've won 8 straight with their latest win over the Phillies. Plus 37 the run differential. They have to be up there for me with the Braves and the Dodgers and the National League and the Padres. But right there, right now they have the same record as the Yankees, 15-9. With the Reds are in first in this division, 16-9, -2 run differential. I just don't think their offense is good enough. Pittsburgh and Milwaukee are actually pretty good, but they're only 13-10. And they just, I think, have had weird games, close losses. NL West, the Rockies are still the Rockies. I know they were 6-6 at one point, but they're 3-9 since. So this is the Rockies we know. San Francisco's turned it around a little bit after a slow start. Arizona's 13-10. They're 3 games over 500, but -9 run differential, so they're really not that good. Dodgers, to me, are easily the best team in baseball. I know they did lose to the Rockies over the weekend, but just one game. Get over it. But to me, I know the Braves percentage points are the best team, but I still think the Dodgers are the best team. And I think the Padres are right there. I think the 3 best teams in the sport right now are arguably the 4 best teams in the sport are all in the National League and the Yankees. So obviously it's Padres, Dodgers, Braves, Cubs, Yankees. Those are the best 5 right now in Major League Baseball. All right, we'll talk more baseball obviously next week and as the year goes on, but I just wanted to do a quick glance at the standings and all that jazz. All right, fun little show tonight. I'm gonna try to record one tomorrow afternoon before the draft. Have a great night, everyone.